Hey cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookie's Cacti. So about a month ago, I made a community post with a picture of my 2-year-old saguaro seedlings. And one of my viewers made a comment asking for a saguaro update video. So here we are. I literally cannot believe that these guys are 2 years old already. And actually earlier today, I rewatched my Mighty Saguaro video that I posted a year ago now, when these guys turned a year old. I actually already repotted, I think there are like 20 something saguaro seedlings that I have, and I have already repotted all of them except for this one. So I thought I would go ahead and repot this one today, and then I'll go show you my tray of 2-year-old saguaro seedlings. So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, if you notice there's a sticker on here and there's a tag in the back. This was the pot of seedlings that I entered into the Central Arizona Cactus and Succulent Society show and sale. Didn't win any ribbons, but I thought it would be cool to have something native from our state of Arizona in the show. So let's go ahead and repot this. So this is in a 2.5-inch pot right now, and you can see that the pretty stuffed in there. I'm going to separate these two. This camera is actually lower than my eye, so I'm having a really hard time seeing my framing, so do forgive me if I start to stray out of frame. So what I have here, actually, let me take the camera off of the tripod real quick. So I'm actually outside under my pergola, under kind of my repotting area. So what I have is this big tub. Usually it's pretty much filled with my adult plant soil mix, which is 75% pumice mixed with 25% any cactus soil you can find. Usually this is pretty full, but I've been doing a lot of repotting lately, so it's pretty empty. But I did go to Arizona Cactus Sales yesterday, and I bought some more bags of pumice and cactus soil, so I'll probably be refilling this sometime very soon. So I always have like this big old tub of soil ready to go. Then I have this, what is this, like a baking tray, aluminum foil baking tray that I have all my scrap soil, like soil from other pots of plants that I bought from other nurseries that I've dumped in here because I don't know exactly what their mix is. And this I will mix up and reuse for plants that I'm more comfortable with using a more random mix, like agave, for example, or there's some echinopsis that are actually probably prefer a more organic substrate. So I will reuse this. This saguaro seedling is actually planted in my baby seedling mix. So the Miracle Grow seed starter, which is peat moss with Miracle Grow perlite. So I am actually going to plant this saguaro, and actually all of its siblings are the same, into this mature plant soil mix. Time for these guys to grow up. So I've got my old dishwashing glove here to help with the spines. So these are not too lethal, but they're getting, more and more firm as they get older. So I'm going to get this out of the pot. The nice thing about having like this soft tray of soil is that you can just dump the plant onto that soft substrate and it won't damage the spines, and it was pretty gentle on the plant itself. So you can see this is my standard like baby seedling mix. Very, very gritty. I actually watered this earlier today in anticipation of repotting it. So basically giving the plant a nice drink before being disturbed like this. And then I will do my usual. I will replant this into moist soil to give it a good start, and then I will not water it for at least a week. So you can see that this is, am I still okay? Actually, let me zoom out a little bit. This is a pretty gritty mix. I've been using more and more perlite in my baby mix. I used to use 1:1, then it went to 2:1, and now I think it's probably closer to 3:1. But so what I will do is, I'm going to try to remove as much of the baby soil as I can. I feel like I used to be always very impatient with doing this part of the job, and really, I shouldn't be impatient, right? This should be kind of almost a precious moment, when your seedlings have grown up to the point where they're ready to graduate to a larger pot, and at this point to graduate even to adult soil. That's pretty special. So we should take our time and not be in a hurry, you know, in a huge rush if you can afford it, you know. You can see, look at those roots. So healthy, looking really good. You see the plant is super, super full, firm. So in my last video on the mighty saguaro, when I was repotting these guys when they were 1 year old, I think I briefly mentioned in there, you know, at what point do you transition these guys from baby soil into adult soil? And I still don't know the answer to that. What happened was I had transplanted all of this guy's seedlings and had transplanted it into its baby soil probably a month ago. And then what happened was I watered them and they were sitting out here under the pergola. And then I had what I thought was a mishap. I'm going to be transplanting this one too. All these big ones are transplanted into 3 1/4 inch pots. So I transplanted them into 3 1/4 inch pot. I used the same baby soil. I watered them, and then I freaked out because they were not drying out very quickly. Like, they were still really wet the next day. And I was just kind of eyeing the seedlings, and I just felt like something was off. Like, this is so nice and firm, right? There's no wrinkles or anything on there. And those saguaro seedlings that I had repotted, some of them were showing wrinkling, and then when I would touch it and squeeze it, it was like, had give, and it was getting soft. So I freaked out and repotted everything out of their baby soil mix into the adult mix, which dries out. It's grittier because the pumice is a lot larger grain than this perlite, and it dries out way, way faster. And then I didn't put any top dressing on there so that I could kind of see if the soil was wet, just to give me a little bit better visual indicator. But without any top dressing, it dries out even faster. So I have since then just repotted all of these guys that are a couple years old into adult soil mix. So that's how I made the decision. There's actually no proof whether it was really necessary or not, because you can see this guy's still doing really great in its baby soil. Because these guys live outside, they get to experience the intense heat in the Phoenix area, and they also get to experience the very low humidity, so they dry out pretty quickly out here. I think one of the mistakes I made was when I had transplanted their siblings, I had put like this, what would you say? It's like a mold that has spaces for the 3 1/4 inch pots. And so it just keeps it in place, you know, prevents the pots from falling over and sliding around. And the holes in that molded tray didn't align with the holes on the bottom of the 3 1/4 inch pots. So you know, it was kind of stopping water from draining out of the pots. I think that was another mistake that I made. But anyway, that was the decision. Luckily, all the seedlings that I thought were goners at that time, that I thought had rotted, they're all still alive. You know, either it's because they take a long time to die, or they're actually okay. So pay attention to your seedlings. You know, if something looks off, don't ignore it. Don't set it aside. Go and check what's wrong. Most likely there's something wrong going on with the roots, soil medium, etc. Soaking wet because I watered it. Not bad, huh? Look at that. 2 years old. Amazing. Alright, I think that's good enough. I don't really wash roots and stuff off. Wow, it's got like a nice central root going down the middle. I don't even know if I'm in frame anymore. Looking really good. Look at this little guy. So this little guy, I'll just repot back into the 2 1/2 inch pot, and then the big guy I'll put into a 3 1/4 inch pot. Okay, so my hands are covered in wet soil, so I'm not going to touch the camera right now. What I'm going to do is, in that tub of adult soil, I'm going to pour a little bit of water in there to make the soil moist. You guys have seen me do this many times. I love the smell of moist soil. How would you describe it? Like earthy, I guess. Alright, let me show you what it looks like. So here you can see the soil mix pretty much completely dry, bone dry. And when you look at it like this, it just looks so minerally and like there's almost no organics in it, but there is organics in it. So over here is the soil that I just wetted down, and you can see that when it's wet, then you can really see the organic components of the soil. So this used to freak me out, like it just looks so dry and so gritty, but once you wet it down, you're like, oh okay, it does do its job. So I'm going to use this to repot the saguaro into. Let's do this little guy first. So in my Mighty Saguaro video, I was talking in there kind of about our horrible summer of 2020 and how we were breaking those record like heat wave that nobody wants to break. Unfortunately, summer of 2023 has been pretty nasty. We're now in what, mid-August? But in, I think, July, starting July, we broke a record of 31 days consecutive of 110 and higher degrees. Fortunately, that streak has been broken now. Like I think it's only 103 or 104 degrees right now outside, which is why I'm actually able to be outside and repot this right now. Even though I do have, y'all can't see me, but I'm a disaster. I have a little sweat rag because I am sweating so much. Humidity is a little bit higher too, and although I just looked on my phone and it says it's 18% humidity, which is really low, but we're kind of used to like single-digit humidity, so I can feel 18% humidity. You can see I'm just filling this up, and then I have all these like little tools and sticks and stuff around to help with stuff like this. Try not to bury it too deep. Kind of want to leave the soil line, like wherever the soil line was before, you kind of want to maintain that. So because of that record-breaking heat, there are a lot of mature saguaros dying around town all over again. Same thing where like the really big guys that have arms, they're first thing you know something's wrong was when those arms start to fall off. I keep seeing posts all over Facebook of different people showing either their own saguaro dying or of their neighbors or like around town. It's very, very sad. It's just so hot. We also didn't get very much rain this summer either. So, little guy's done. It's good enough. Good enough. Let's do the big guy. I usually put a layer at the bottom of the pot of soil just to prevent the roots from going directly to the drain hole. So the issue when it's so hot in the summer and there's so many hot days in a row isn't necessarily even the high of the day. It's that our lows stay really high. Like it is in the, I think we're finally down into like the mid or low 80s at night. I mean, that's our low temperature for the night. And we were having some, like when it was that hot, it was like in the upper 80s, even lower 90s overnight. Which is just way too hot for these plants. I think if it actually cooled down at night enough, they may actually be able to do okay, despite the super high highs. Sorry, that's my neighbor's dog. Somebody actually made a comment in one of my previous videos that, you know, to go and take care of my dog because it's barking so much, but it's not my dog. There's only Cookie in this household, and me. Cookie's actually inside the house right now. It's so hot out here. But she actually enjoys the heat. She's always slightly anemic because of her health condition, so the heat actually is good for her. It makes her feel better. Alright, I think that's good enough. 3¼ inch pot, and it's filling that up quite nicely. So super fast draining mix in here. I think I've already lost about half the water in my body. So I've been steadily rearranging my pergola space. Ideally, I would like one side with all my mature plants, and then the other side I would love if I could put all my seedlings. I have so many seedlings that are graduating out of my shade house over there and coming under the pergola. So over here you can see, here are the other saguaro that I repotted about a month ago and then freaked out with that incident. But so far so good. So almost all of them are in 3¼ inch pots. Again, these guys are 2 years old. Probably the biggest one right there. So I found one open spot here. Put this guy here. And then I need to find a space for that 3¼ inch pot. Can't find a space right now, so I'll just put it over here where there's an open spot here. Right there. Not bad on size, huh? Compared to some of its neighbors. So ideally I would like to clear out all of these plants, move them somewhere else so I can use this space for my seedlings. We'll see. Let's come back over here to these trays of seedlings. So in my Mighty Saguaro video, I showed some other seedlings, some of which were those Astrophytum hybrids. And look at them. Look at how much bigger they are now a year later. These are the largest ones of that batch. So these guys are also just over 2 years old. That one's actually, was it quadricrustata with 4 ribs? Funny little like a belly button there. So those are like the biggest ones of that batch, and then the same batch, these are the smaller ones, which I just repotted like 2 days ago or something. Look how fun that is. These were my second Astrophytum seedlings that I ever grew. And there's some more of them here. So from that Mighty Saguaro video, I also showed the Mammillaria nehepensis, which I grew from seeds off my own plant. And look at them. The bigger ones are all out here. There's some smaller ones that are still inside the shade house. Look at that. These are in 3¼ inch pots. And they're also planted in the adult seed mix that I just used on the saguaro. So 1 year later, pretty cool, huh? Well, I hope you all enjoyed that saguaro repotting video and a little update on these guys that I showed a year ago. Hopefully they continue doing all right. I need to go inside and cool off a bit and get some water. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care. Bye-bye.